I just sat in a meeting where we spent 45 minutes talking about collaboration. There was a slide deck, a shared document, and a chat thread running alongside the screen. And at one point, somebody asked a question that nobody answered. Not because nobody knew, but because everyone was waiting for someone else to unmute. So the question sat there, floating, until eventually somebody typed a response into the chat, and we all nodded, alone, at our screens. A moment I'm sure many of you are familiar with, because technically, everything worked. The meeting happened, the tools functioned, and the communication was there. It's the connection that wasn't. But if communication isn't enough, what actually drives connection? Because we've never talked more in a world of constant technology, and yet we've never been more disconnected. That moment after the meeting is when I realized something that shaped how I view leadership. Influence isn't earned through titles, position, or perfectly crafted emails. It's earned through presence. Leaders today can send hundreds of emails, host back-to-back Zoom meetings, and roll out beautifully crafted policies without ever actually showing up. Today, leadership's defined by what can be directed, trained. But what if influence isn't something you measure? What if it's something people feel? What if it's built through presence? People don't follow leaders they only hear from. They follow leaders they feel in the room, not just read in an inbox. And I didn't just learn this in a leadership book or only realize it after that meeting. I learned it as a kid and experienced it in my own family. I grew up in a union household. My dad, grandpa, uncles, cousins all work in the trades. Family doesn't wear suits to work. They lace up steel-toed boots and come home with tired hands and proud hearts. After a long shift, my dad would come and sit next to me in his chair. Most nights, he would fall asleep, but as a kid, I didn't need words. His presence told me everything. There were no deep conversations or long speeches, and yet I never questioned whether he was there. His presence told me that I'm safe, I'm seen, that I matter. And that's when I learned something that I didn't have words for at the time. Presence is how humans communicate care. Now, years later, I've made that connection. What I learned sitting next to my father is the very thing teams are craving at work today. We live in a world of online meetings, online chats, AI workshops, virtual everything. And the modern workplace is more connected than we've ever been, and yet more disconnected than ever. And teams are craving the one thing that technology can't replace: human-to-human presence and connection. And there's real science behind this. Our brains are wired to read care from people, not platforms. When you're seeing a photo of someone, you see one thing. But when you're face to face with them, you notice what they see. You notice how they react. And in turn, it makes you think about how you're reacting, how you're coming across, and how to make a connection in that moment. Here's where that leadership gap shows up. Managers think they're engaging, but employees feel invisible. We pick up visibility through eye contact, safety through tone, and belonging through proximity. And that's why visibility feels like care, but absence feels like an indifference. And it's not the leader's fault for them feeling like their employees aren't engaged. It's just that their presence has quietly disappeared. Your culture doesn't form through policy. It forms through behavior. No email has ever created the calm and connectedness that a human moment can. And I've seen this play out everywhere. On a manufacturing floor, I had a manager describe an employee as checked out. So instead of another performance conversation or written warning, I walked the floor and I asked one simple question. How's your day going? The machine operator laughed, told me I wouldn't understand, that I didn't even know how his machine worked. And he was right, I didn't. So I asked him to show me, and everything changed. He lit up, showed me what to watch for, what to listen to, and what not to touch unless I wanted the whole line to shut down. By the end, we were laughing, and we shared a fist bump. To this day, when I walk the floor in that section, he's the first one to say good morning to me. Somehow, the employee that was labeled checked out has never been described as disengaged again. Nothing about his job changed that day, but everything about how he felt did. Respect and trust don't come with your title. They're earned when people see you. Presence shapes perception, and perception shapes trust. I was the first in my family to attend and graduate a university, an opportunity made possible by the very people who work on those floors. Today, I have the privilege of being in a role where I get to serve those who supported me and help carry their legacy forward. And I want them to know that they are seen. And it doesn't just stop on the manufacturing floor. In corporate offices, I've seen hallway conversations solve issues that weeks of emails couldn't touch. It's the same people, it's the same issues, in a different medium. But the difference isn't authority or wisdom, it's presence. Influence isn't created through emails or titles, it's earned through presence. Being seen activates identity, motivation, and connectedness. When people feel seen, they show up differently. Right now in the workplace, employees don't need the perfect manager. They need present ones. And this change doesn't just happen, doesn't require more time or a new title. It requires intention and a few simple changes. Be visibly curious. Walk the floor, say good morning, ask your questions, but listen without an agenda. Create micro moments of connection. 2 minutes of real conversation at your coffee station beats an hour-long meeting. And showing up intentionally, putting your phone down, closing your laptop, and looking people in the eyes. Or, if you're on a Zoom call, simply turning on your camera. Replace 10 emails with 2 minutes of actual conversation. Send the follow-up if you need it, but don't lead with distance. I want to end where I began. Simply sitting next to someone else and asking how their day is can change their whole perspective. My dad didn't lead with emails. My dad led with presence. And that presence still shapes how I lead today. So here's my invitation to you. For 1 week, lead with presence first. Notice what changes. Notice who shows up. And notice how differently people come to work when they feel seen. Because presence isn't only about being in the room. It's about who you choose to be when you're there.